Good morning and welcome to Reflections with Pastor Ellen. That's me, Reverend Ellen Rasmussen, Senior Pastor at Brown Deer United Methodist Church. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and it is my great joy to welcome you to the last in our series, Housing the Holy Ones. Let us begin with the word from the Gospel of Luke. I'll be reading from a women's lectionary for the whole church, Year A, written by Reverend Dr. Wilda C. Gafney, and it's from the second chapter, the first 7 verses. Now it happened in those days that a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be registered for taxation. This was the first registration and occurred while Quirinius was governor of Syria. So all went to be registered, each to their own towns. Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, for he was from the house and heritage of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was betrothed, and who was pregnant. So it was that while they were there, the time came for her to birth her child. And she gave birth to her firstborn son and swaddled him and laid him in a manger because there was no place for them in the inn. The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. Have you ever been to Bethlehem? I have. I've had the privilege of being there twice in 2016 and 2019. And things have changed since I've been there, but I want to show you pictures of something around Bethlehem. It's a 3-minute video, so I hope you'll hang with me. Were you expecting that? Were you expecting to see the wall surrounding Bethlehem and the murals and the graffiti or the artwork, depending on your translation, that is on these walls that tells a story of the walls? Now, the wall is supposedly for security reasons, but it's to separate Palestinians from Israelites on Palestinian land. These are illegal walls that are supporting illegal settlements in other parts of the West Bank and Palestine that are taking land from the Palestinians, our siblings. We have Palestinian siblings, we have Israeli siblings, we have Arabic siblings, we have Muslim siblings and Christian siblings and Jewish siblings, right? We're all created in the image of God, in the image of the sacred and holy, and we're all given the sacred breath of life. Now, if we were living in Palestine, in order to go home, in order to go to Bethlehem, we couldn't get there because the walls are built. Oh, yes, there are gates. There are armed, secured gates that people can go through. And if you're Israeli, you get to go through no problem. If you're Palestinian, that's another issue. And the thing of it is, when we say we're building walls for security purposes, and we house or we build the walls around a group and we want to keep them in, it also impacts those on the outside of the walls. The walls aren't built for healthy relationships. The walls aren't built so we can see the sacred and holiness and experience life beyond measure with our neighbors. The walls are built to oppress, to suppress, to keep separate, to participate in a failure of community. We think we're building walls for community. No. The walls invite us to not see what's sacred and holy about our neighbors, about our siblings. Walls invite comparisons inside, outside. And in the video, you saw physical walls. And we know in the US, we've got physical walls on our border, right? But there's more than the physical walls that separate us. We've got walls in our hearts, in our heads, and I dare say in our souls. We have ideas and prejudices and viewpoints that continue to support the failure to recognize the sacredness and holiness of each and every person. Affordable housing is a real critical issue in Milwaukee. Affordable housing is a real issue across the nation. Homelessness is critical. And how we view shelter, how we view housing impacts all of it. Is housing a basic right and a need, or is housing a luxury? Maslow once declared that shelter was one of our basic needs, that we needed that to survive. But do we provide shelter so people can survive, or do we want to create communities with a variety of housing options so that people can thrive? I've served in communities where I have been incredibly blessed to build relationships with my siblings who lack permanent housing. in one particular location. They called themselves my blessed bench warmers and my concrete congregation. And I was humbled and honored to be able to serve them. They taught me so much. It was a joy when we could share stories. And as I shared stories and I listened and I learned, I discovered that many of them had worked in the construction industry, had skilled welders and masonaries and carpenters and heavy equipment operators. And many of them had been injured on the job. And they did okay for treatment until their benefits ran out. And in many cases, there were addictions. Their bodies could no longer take the physicality of a 40-hour work week. They just could no longer meet the standards of what had to be done. And so it's like they were tossed away. But they had so much knowledge to share. They had experience they could mentor if we would be willing to restructure what a work week looks like and how we compensate people. Now we're experiencing some of that right now because of the pandemic. But I think we need to really think how we support one another, how we have an economic community that can help provide all sorts of housing or earn all sorts of housing for everyone. Now, some people want houses and they want to build them and they want to own them and they want big houses. Others want smaller houses. Some people want to rent. Some people want to own. And we need to treat all of these options as equitable, desirable options that are made with quality materials for a quality of life that isn't just about survival, but it is about thriving. And we want to rethink what housing options looks like, right? What's acceptable in a neighbor? How often do we hear that, well, you have to have homeowners? Because renters don't take care of their property. And I'm a renter. I really don't want to own another home again because it's time consuming to keep up with all the maintenance, right? Not necessarily my skill set. But I met folks, members of my blessed bench warmers, who showed me that there really could be some different ways to live together in community, a different way of sharing shelter. Well, many of them didn't even want the burden of a full apartment. They would share a larger facility with smaller individual rooms and common places. I mean, yes, we have group homes and yes, they're, like dorm life for college, but in a more, humanistic, celebratory way, where they could contribute as they could and still be a part of community, a valued part of community, not a sore spot. The holy ones surround us wherever we are. The question is, do we have eyes to see them? Do we have ears to listen? And are we willing to do something together so that all of the holy ones can be sheltered in a manner that is appropriate and one that leads to life, abundant life? My hope and prayer is that you've encountered God in our series. My hope and prayer is that you know you are beloved and cherished beyond measure, that you have been blessed with gifts, talents, and graces, and that it's up to all of us working together and sharing what we've been gifted, where we can make beloved community a reality. I am so grateful that you've chosen to journey with me. I'm so grateful that you're here today. We are working to transform lives through the ministries at Brown Deer United Methodist Church. We invite you to come, to learn, to love, so that together we can make an impact. And we need your financial support. We appreciate your financial support. We appreciate your gift of presence. And we invite you to times of dialogue and times of togetherness so we can make a difference. So on your screen shortly will be an opportunity for you to check out the website where you can give online, or you can send your gifts to us in the mail. We give thanks for your generous support in these ministries. We give thanks for your witness. And I look forward to our continued journey as we work to be agents of justice, healing, and hope, transforming the world in love. Blessings. Merry Christmas.